All right. Hey guys, today is Friday. We are going to go and listen to my presentation today. As you're listening to this presentation, I want you to be filling in your note catcher so you can always pause this at any time and come back to it and push play again when you hear something new. So you're working in the explain portion on your note catcher to be filling that in for today. I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about what I know in terms of growth mindset, what I've learned over the years. And I've taught growth mindset for a long time, actually, and taken classes on it. And so I just want to give you a little bit of my insight and why I think it's important, why I think you guys should know about this at a young age, and how it can be really helpful in school. So let me get into present mode here. Stop as you need to as you're filling in your note catcher, and you'll see me kind of moving myself around so that I can read my slides and stuff. But that's cool. So, growth mindset, your goal for today. You're going to be successful today when you can define and identify really some of the characteristics of growth and fixed mindsets and the impacts that they have on learning and growing. By no means, I am not an expert on all of this stuff, but again, this is just the stuff that I have seen in the research that I've done over the years or the classes that I've taken around this stuff. And so I do have quite a bit of knowledge, but I am definitely not an expert. I do know this, though, that this idea of mindset all starts with the brain. So if we can learn a little bit about our brains, then we can make a little bit more sense about mindset. So here's some science about the brain. Your brain is kind of like a muscle. So when you go to the gym, if you start to lift weights, the first couple of times that you lift weights, your muscles actually, you're sore afterwards. And the reason why is because as you're lifting weights, you're actually making tiny little tears in those muscles. And then those muscles repair themselves and they get bigger and stronger. Your brain is kind of like that too, in that it can change and get bigger and stronger and smarter the more that we actually use it. So within your brain, you have these tiny little nerve cells that are called neurons, and these neurons form branches with other neurons, and they make this connected and complicated network within our brains. And the more that you actually try challenging things, the more these connections actually multiply. So in learning new things, you get more and more and more of these connections, and that leaves you with a smarter and stronger brain. So if you read the article, you may have seen these pictures, but if you think about a baby, babies don't have much experience doing anything. They can't do much. They can kind of cry and they can't even hold their heads up. So they don't have a whole lot of life experience, a lot of things that they've done. They have a limited amount of skills of things they can actually do, right? So at birth, if you think about the connections within your brain, well, there's not many because you haven't learned and tried to do things. And so you don't have a whole lot of connections within your brain yet. Versus if you look at the picture on the right-hand side, by 6 years old, if you think of all of the changes and all of the things you've learned just from birth to 6 years old, you've learned how to roll over and you've learned how to crawl and you've learned how to walk and how to feed yourself and how to talk and all of those things that now all of a sudden you're a normal 6-year-old, you get around like a 6-year-old, you talk like a 6-year-old, right? And because of all of those experiences, you now have all of these connections within your brain that you've developed because you've tried new things, you've learned new things, and that's created a more connected and complicated brain. Think of it then now as you're in middle school, right? You would have even more and more connections in your brain because you've done new things, you've tried even more than a 6-year-old would. And so your connections within your brain are even bigger and more intense. And then by the time you're an adult, you have a pretty seriously complicated brain. Tell me about it. So you now have lots of connections within your brain, and it's smarter and stronger because of all of those connections. Here's the kicker, though. Those nerve cells, those neurons, they only make new connections if we're actually learning something new. So the more that we try hard or challenging tasks, then the more connected our brain will actually become. So things like math are great because of this. So the more that we actually do these difficult things, the smarter and stronger our brain can become. If we sit back, I always think of like my grandparents, for example. If they were retired and they never really did any challenging tasks anymore, they weren't problem solving, they were just kind of sitting back, sitting in their recliners all day long and not really doing any new and challenging work, then they're not making new connections within their brain. They're not getting smarter and stronger. Okay. You have this thing in your brain that I'm going to call your lizard brain. Your lizard brain is another name actually for your amygdala. Your amygdala is part of your brain that's hardwired to seek safety. So this is the thing that's responsible for your emotions, for your survival instincts, and for your memory. It's also the source of fear. And so sometimes your lizard brain is really, really good and it's important, and sometimes it's not. So what I mean by that is, for example, let's say you're being chased by a mountain lion. Your lizard brain kicks in and it takes over and it knows, hey, this is a dangerous situation. You have got to either fight back, right? Prepare yourself. You're going to have to fight, or you're going to have to flight, run away. So it kind of gets you into that adrenaline seeking mode of, okay, what am I going to do? And it gets you to where you need to be in order to survive that situation. That's your survival instincts. That's when your lizard brain is good. But sometimes your lizard brain is not so great. And sometimes your lizard brain isn't very smart, and it convinces you to be afraid of a situation that's not really dangerous. Like, for example, raising your hand and answering a question. It may say alert, right? Lizard brain's going crazy and freaking out. No, you can't do this. This is gonna end you. But in reality, that's not a survival thing, right? Answering a question in a class is not a survival thing, but your lizard brain kind of tries to trick you sometimes. It's not very smart. So you have your lizard brain. You need to watch out for your lizard brain. It sounds like this. It's going to tell you to play it safe, right? To not speak up, to not ask a question, to not answer a question because people might view you like you don't know what you're doing, or like you're stupid or something like that. It tells you all of those things. That's your lizard brain talking, telling you to be afraid. You can't kill your lizard brain, but you can learn to deal with it and to eventually learn to silence it once you've recognized that it's there. So this is a compass to kind of think about your lizard brain in terms of learning. When we think about learning and school, we actually want to get to the place where our lizard brain is freaking out, because it's when it's freaking out that it's actually in a position to grow and learn. And so you want to move towards this fearful growth side, even though it makes you really uncomfortable and it puts you in a position where you're not comfortable. Those are the positions that you need to be in to learn and to continue growing. When you sit back and you're kind of hanging out in your comfort zone, then you're hiding from any opportunities to actually grow and learn. So we want to be up here at the top in that growth portion of our compass. There's a difference between lizards and learners. So lizards are those people that let their lizard brain take over. They miss out on opportunities because they're too worried about how they look, right? They don't want to take any risks because they don't want to look bad. They don't want people to judge them. So then they just sit back and don't do anything. And then you have people who are learners. They're going to treat every situation as an opportunity to grow. And so they're going to approach everything as if they want to learn. And they end up learning a lot. So big idea is that you can grow and improve at anything. Anything. And so people always say, but I'm not a blank person. I'm not a math person, or I'm not a sports person, or I'm not a reading person, or whatever. You can always find certain things that are easier for you. So maybe sports came easier for you as a kid, or maybe art, you're super creative and that just comes easier for you. Everyone starts in different places, but anyone can grow and get better at anything. It just takes hard work and practice. And the science really supports this, right? Because our brain grows and changes, and we know that. So science supports the fact that we can learn and improve anything. But if we don't actually believe that this will work, then it's not going to happen. The belief is the most important part. If you don't believe that you can grow and get better at anything, then you never will, because you'll never try. And that's that idea of mindset. So with mindset, you have those two different types. You have the fixed mindset and you have the growth mindset. Fixed mindset, you guys learned a lot about this week. Fixed mindset people are the people that they don't believe that they can learn and grow, right? There's no belief there. They think that they are born with whatever skills or intelligence that they were born with. That's all they're ever going to have, right? They don't believe, and so they don't try. So they kind of think, well, I don't think I can get better at math, and so they don't actually then try to do anything in math class. And so then they don't get better in math. And so then they believe that they can't get better at math. So you see, it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. They're stuck in this cycle of, I don't think I can do it, so I'm not going to try, so I'm not going to get better, so I don't think I can do it. And they just keep going through this cycle and they never get out of it. That's what it looks like. They focus more on not looking bad. They don't want to take on any challenges. They don't want to take risks. They don't want to try new things. They don't want to do anything that takes them out of their comfort zone. They give up really easily. They hate feedback. They think that a teacher telling them, oh, we got to fix this problem is a personal attack on them. They don't want to listen to it. And they hate making mistakes. That's fixed mindset. Then there's growth mindset. Growth mindset's the opposite, right? They believe that they can grow and learn. They know that they can get better at anything. It's just going to take lots of hard work and practice. They know that their skills are not born, but they're things that are grown over time with that hard work and practice. They believe that effort and trying is a big part of their learning process. So they believe that they can grow and improve. And so then they try. And by trying, they actually grow and improve. And so then they believe more that they can grow and improve. So they're stuck in a cycle, but a really, really good one, where they're seeing results and they're doing things and they continue trying and they continue growing and then they continue believing that they can improve and get better, which is where we want you to be. They don't back down from challenges. They persevere. They have grit. They don't give up, right? They like feedback from teachers and from parents because they know that that's an opportunity for them to learn and grow. And they're not afraid to make mistakes. They also know that that's part of the learning process. I think it's important to remember that you're not always fixed mindset or growth mindset, just one or the other. It kind of changes from day to day. For me, sometimes it changes from situation to situation. It could depend on your mood for the day. It could depend on what class periods you're going to. It could depend on lots of different things. You might be a growth mindset in terms of your friends, but you might be a fixed mindset in terms of school or your parents or something like that, relationships. Okay, so it's different from situation to situation and from day to day. Why is all of this important? Why has Ms. Schaefer spent an entire week having you guys focus on mindset? Well, because I think it's really important. Students who approach learning with this idea of a growth mindset will outperform their classmates. And I'm not talking like by a little, I'm talking like by a lot, right? So if you always have this idea of a growth mindset, then you're going to be way up here at the top of this green line. Versus if you kind of are sticking with this fixed mindset that I can't do it, it's too hard, it's never going to get easier, I give up, then you're just going to stay static or you're going to start to decline. And there's going to be a lot of other people that are outperforming you. This isn't just about school, though. I know that example was about school, but this really isn't about school and just about school. If you think about growth mindset as a tool just in terms of your entire life, being aware of your mindset can really help you in a bunch of different ways. So yes, school, it helps you with that. But also if you think about in the future, if you're interviewing for a job, right? How you go into that job interview could potentially get you the job that you might want or might not, depending on the mindset that comes across. If you have a job and you are approaching it with a fixed mindset, then you might not keep that job. Same thing if you have a business. You might be really successful at business if you have a growth mindset. You might not be great at business if you have a fixed mindset. This plays into your relationships. So relationships with partners or coworkers or even children. So way down the road and in the future, if you're approaching relationships with a growth mindset, then you would be growing and learning together. But if you approach that with a fixed mindset, then you're going to have a lot of tumultuous relationships in your life, which is not so fun. You can think about this in terms of your own health and wellness. So if you approach your health and your wellness with a growth mindset, then most likely you're going to be healthy, right? You're going to know how to take care of yourself. You're going to keep your body and your mind well. And if it's with a fixed mindset, then there's going to be some issues that you're going to have to deal with. Same thing with your finances, right? This is not just a school thing. This is a whole big life picture thing, a big tool, okay? Having a growth mindset is one of the building blocks to having a successful life. It's not just about school. Being aware of your mindset is a pretty big deal. And this takes some practice. But many times you'll hear kind of this fixed mindset voice. It's loud. And you might hear it say things like, this is too hard, or I give up, I can't do this, or I'm lost, I'll never get this, I don't know what to do, right? And so when you hear things like that, well, now what? What are you going to do? We need to actually take action in these moments. And you need to talk back to it. I know that sounds silly. You're like, what? I'm going to talk back to my own voice. Yeah, I'm going to make you talk to yourself. And here's what that's going to sound like. So the first thing is to really hear it, to be able to hear it and recognize that it's there. So let's say you're having a really fixed mindset moment when you're working on your math. You might sound like, I'm never going to get this. I hate math. It's too hard. I give up. Or any other long list of various things that you might say about math or about your teacher or about the work you're trying to do or even about yourself, right? All of these negative fixed mindset things. So you're having this fixed mindset voice that's screaming in your ear or even screaming out loud. I can't do this. You're going to listen to it, right? And then you're going to recognize that it's there. And the way that you recognize that it's there is that you actually acknowledge it, right? You hear it and you say, oh, okay, that was a very fixed-minded thing that I just said, right? Whoa, that was super fixed-minded. You could say that out loud, or you could just have that thought within your head. So it's listening to it and then recognizing what it was that you just heard or said. And then you're going to take it a step further and you're actually going to thank your brain for having that thought. Thank you. Okay, wow. Thank you for giving me that thought and acknowledging the fact that it was there. And the very last step is the most important, and that's when you're going to talk back. So you're going to, this feels silly, but you're going to hear it. You're going to listen to it, listen for it. When you hear that fixed mindset voice say something negative like that, I can't do this. This is too hard. I give up. You're going to stop. You're going to recognize that it was there, acknowledge it, and then you're going to talk back. And that may sound something like this. Wow, okay, that was a super fixed mindseted thing to say. Thank you for that thought, right? So you're acknowledging that it was there, but it's not helpful. I know that if I continue working at this and if I ask questions, then I'm going to get it. I just haven't figured it out quite yet. So you're stopping yourself in that moment before you kind of get into this fixed mindseted pool of tears is what I'm going to call it. But this fixed mindset, right? You're stuck in it. Before you get stuck, you're going to listen for it. You're going to hear it. You're going to recognize that it was there and you're going to talk back to it. Okay. This silences that fixed mindset voice and it gets you back into a place of action. So rather than sitting in this pool of your fixed mindset tears and then not taking any action and not doing anything and not trying because you don't think you can improve and just sitting and doing nothing, you're going to talk back to it and you're going to get yourself out of that funk and you're going to keep moving. Okay? Don't sit in a pool of your fixed mindset tears. I've had so many students over the years that try to do it, and I promise you, I'm pretty good at getting you guys out of your pool of fixed mindset tears. They're not fun, right? Don't sit in a pool of your fixed mindset tears. It's not fun for anyone. It's not fun for your teacher. It's not fun for you. Promise you will have way more fun if you're actually attempting to do the stuff. So learning to hear and then also silence that fixed mindset voice, it takes some time and it takes some practice. I promise it does get easier the more that you actually do it. So we're actually going to try to practice right now. So you need to go get some materials for me. So I'm going to have you pause this video and come back when you're ready, but you need to gather these items, several pieces of paper and some scissors. You're not going to be allowed to use tape or glue, so just paper and scissors. So go ahead and pause this video and come back when you have that. So what you're going to be doing for me today is you're going to do a paper structure building. And I know this is a little bit hard to do over the computer, but I think it's possible and I know we can do it. As you're working and trying to create this paper structure that you see on the next slide, I want you to be paying attention to your thoughts and your words. So are you hearing a lot of your fixed mindset voice telling you, oh my gosh, this is so hard? Are you getting really frustrated by it? Is it taking over? Or are you hearing some of that growth mindset voice of, oh, that one didn't work. Okay, I'm going to try again. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to see if I can get it. Listen for your voice. Okay. So on the next slide, you're going to see a paper structure. I want you to recreate it using only the paper and the scissors. You can't use any other tools. You can go ahead and pause this video once I flip to the next slide. You're going to want a timer for yourself, so you can set a timer for 10 minutes and see if you can create it. So it's going to look like this. You're trying to recreate this paper structure. I just gave you a few pictures of it so you could see it from different angles. It is possible. Yep, it's possible. I want to see if you can make it. Okay, so this is what it looks like from different angles. Give yourself about 10 minutes. No tape, no glue, only paper and scissors. See if you can recreate it. It's got a piece that sticks up in the middle, and it has those two openings on the sides. All right, so set the timer for 10 minutes. Come back when you're done. I want to see, listen to your mindset voices. Are you hearing fixed mindset things or are you hearing growth mindset things? All right, I want to know, how'd you do? Did your fixed mindset voice take over? And if so, were you able to recognize it and talk back to it and get yourself back into a place where you could keep trying? Or did you sit in a pool of your fixed mindset tears? I've done this activity with many adults who sit in a pool of their fixed mindset tears. So I'm curious to see how you did. Keep practicing. You guys got this. We all have this. Remember, we can grow and improve and get better at anything. All right, thank you for watching my presentation. Make sure that you have some stuff that you've added in on things that you've learned and compared to how you did on your own learning around this stuff, and now where you are in terms of what you've learned from me in your explain portion on your note catcher. All right. All right. I will see you guys on Tuesday because you don't have school on Monday. All right. Bye. Nice job.